According to the Final Fantasy IX track listing, Zidane has a theme, but I'm here to show three things. First, this is not the music we associate with Zidane. Second, there is different music that we do associate with Zidane. And third, nope, it's not his theme either. First things first, here is what the official OST lists as Zidane's theme. What's interesting about this is that we only hear it twice, and both instances are part of the same episode where the gang escaped from Dali on an airship. That alone is weird enough, right? The main protagonist of a game that lasts at least 40 hours, and his theme only plays in one short segment on Disc 1? Everyone else's theme appears multiple times and is arranged in different ways as events throughout the game unfold, but the track named after the main character is a static one-off affair. So there's my first point. As far as music in Final Fantasy IX, I would say that the so-called Zidane's theme is not the theme that people most closely associate with Zidane. So what would be then? Character themes in Final Fantasy games are a strangely ambiguous topic. On the one hand, you have characters with very clearly defined themes that are inextricably linked to them. On the other hand, you have some characters who seem to lack themes altogether, or co-opt themes from other elements of the game. Take Final Fantasy VI. The theme of Terra, our main protagonist, goes like this. Except hold on, because this also happens to be the overworld music. So which came first? Is Terra borrowing the world's theme, or is Terra's theme being used to describe the world? What about Final Fantasy VII? Tifa gets a theme, Aerith gets a theme, Barret gets a theme, Sephiroth gets a theme, and what a theme it is. Even the Turks get a theme, but not Cloud, the main character. The music most closely associated with him is the main theme, which again is used as the overworld theme. In Final Fantasy VIII, nobody gets a character theme. Which brings us to Final Fantasy IX, with a rich tapestry of character themes with the exception of Zidane. Let's talk for a minute about the common theme across these four games, and if you haven't experienced these games that were released between 1994 and 2000, here is your warning of spoilers to follow, with big spoilers for Final Fantasy IX. Amnesia is no stranger in the Final Fantasy series, but it appears as more than just a plot device. Characters with amnesia are often stripped of their own musical themes. As mentioned, Terra's and Cloud's themes double as the overworld music. We learn that Terra had her memories distorted by the slave crown used by the Empire, while Cloud's memories are a hodgepodge of other people's lives and his own trauma. In Final Fantasy VIII, pretty much everyone has amnesia, hence the lack of named character themes. In Final Fantasy IX, two main characters suffer from amnesia, Zidane and Garnet, although neither is fully aware of it. However, Garnet has a theme, unlike Zidane, so what does this mean? Well, Final Fantasy IX character themes appear to be closely linked to a sense of identity, and the discovery of who am I is a central element of the game. Garnet, although unaware of her true identity, has embraced her role as Princess of Alexandria. Zidane, on the other hand, has always wondered about his true identity, never feeling really settled anywhere. After all, he's the only person he knows with a tail. So what music might we associate closest with Zidane? I would argue that, like Final Fantasy VI and VII, it's the main theme, appropriately titled A Place to Call Home. A full analysis of this piece will be coming in a Part 2 video dealing with setting and style, so for right now it's just important to pay attention to the melody line. So if we're going to say that we associate this theme with Zidane, then let's look at where and how we hear it. Obviously it plays on the title screen. The next place we hear it is actually hinted at in the Tantalus theme. The top note has been lowered for coolness, but otherwise the outline of the first line is there. So maybe this means that Zidane is very closely linked to Tantalus. After all, he does describe it as his home, abusive though it may be. Tantalus is the only place we hear a hint of this theme for a long time. We have to wait until Disc 3, then we hear the main theme again, this time in Oilvert on the Forgotten Continent. We discover that this structure actually did not originate on this planet, Gaia, but instead on Terra, a planet that tried to merge with Gaia 5,000 years ago but failed. It holds historical records of Terra's people and purpose that the party uncovers. So basically, not only does this place have no connection to Tantalus, but it has almost no connection to anything on the planet at all. What does this have to do with Zidane? The next place we hear the theme is in Ibsen's castle, another relic from Terra left behind 5,000 years ago. The whole place is designed like a sort of MC Escher-esque upside-down world, and even the weapon damage is flipped when you get in there. The party is sent to Ibsen's castle to recover 4 mirrors that will supposedly open a portal to Terra from Gaia. The arrangement of the theme in this area reveals much deeper information about history and character development, but again, look for that in part 2 of this video. Now by this point, the musical significance of this theme should be becoming apparent. Like I said earlier, we associate it with Zidane, but it's not his theme. All is revealed the next time we hear it, after the group successfully travels through the portal and arrives on Terra. Now this is the theme in its entirety, as close to the original title screen version as we've heard yet, but it's still a bit different, isn't it? Maybe a bit jarring, like it's not settling into a clear meter? The Terra version of this theme is dominated by hemiola, which is when the sense of pulse is obscured by emphasizing different parts of the division. In this theme, the underlying harp arpeggio seems to imply compound duple, 1 and a, 2 and a, while the oboe melody implies simple triple, 1 and 2 and 3 and. They line up because they are both counting 6/8 notes in each measure, but the lower line sounds like 2 groups of 3, while the upper line sounds like 3 groups of 2. What does this hemiola accomplish? Well, for one, it makes it feel a little unsettled, which makes sense given that our party has just landed on what may as well be an alien world dramatically different from their own. But this hemiola is not just switching between 2 possible meters as we often see it, it's actually conveying 2 different meters simultaneously, a musical representation of the juxtaposition of Terra and Gaia. 2 worlds existing in the same physical place but in different dimensions. One green and lush, the other cold and hard. One with a red crystal, one with a blue crystal. One in 3/4, the other in 6/8. It's an amazing way to bring the music we heard when you first turned on the game to life in a narrative-driven way. But hold on, because now it raises a new question. It made sense why a theme associated with Zidane would appear as part of the Tantalus theme, but what does Terra have to do with Tantalus? Well, I suggest that while the musical theme belongs to Terra, it was carried to Gaia by Zidane. Like Oilvert and Ibsen's castle, Zidane originated on Terra but ended up on Gaia. He only has a vague memory of a blue light, but no matter how hard he looked, he could never find his home. How could he? It exists in another dimension. After all his searching, he returned to Tantalus, deciding that it didn't matter where he was from, he had found his home where his friends were. Tantalus had their theme influenced by the music Zidane brought from Terra, but the Terra theme was also softened and influenced by Zidane's love for his family. Importantly, we don't hear the theme again after the events on Terra. As Terra's theme, this makes sense because Terra gets devastated, and we don't see or hear anything about it afterwards. But the theme as part of Zidane's identity is also not heard again. It is pushed out when Zidane goes through a hard reset of his personality in Pandemonium. Garland, his creator, reveals that Zidane was created as a puppet and sent to Gaia to cause death and restore the souls of Terra. But because Garland sees him as a failure, he attempts to drain his soul out of him. We see a vacant and depressed Zidane trying to convince his friends one by one that he's not who they thought he was, and that they're better off without him. And behind all of this plays the track, "You're Not Alone." It's one of the most meaningful moments in the game, and just as the title implies, everyone Zidane has met and influenced returns to him. giving him the strength he needs to recover his identity and realize that it's not his creator that gives him purpose, but the relationships he's made. We only hear this track once, so it might be a long shot, but to me, this is Zidane's theme. The music that plays when we get to finally see who he is, not a created puppet with an assigned role and purpose, but the sum and culmination of all his experiences and relationships. And what better title to describe a character who inspires people and makes friends everywhere he goes than You're Not Alone. Anyway, this video took a little bit of a turn because I really meant to talk about A Place to Call Home. There was just too much to say about Zidane's character and how the music throughout the game does or does not support him and his journey. As I said, there will be a part 2 looking closer at A Place to Call Home, specifically how it's crafted to help establish Final Fantasy IX's more medieval setting, and also how it's paired up with a fairly well-known chant tune to dig deeper into the story. If you liked this video, please subscribe for more and stay tuned for part 2. I'll see you next time.